How I found out my husband is a pedophile.
Straight into the active volcano. Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea. You know that, I know that. And I'm just a lady with a camera, a bulldog, and far too many opinions. This year, we have covered quite a few people who should be thrown into an active volcano and their spouses following them right in there due to them having minor attracted tendencies. Now, obviously that's horrible. However, recently there have been multiple people on social media who have gone viral a bit for obviously defending their spouse's deplorable behavior, but then also people who have gone more viral for like exposing their spouse as such and not defending them, which we love. We love that. Support those people at all costs. Now, this is Alyssa. Alyssa and her husband downloaded the game Roblox, which is basically like a crappier version of Minecraft. I feel like that's a good way to explain it. So they downloaded it, both of them, so that they could play with their kids. Yes, they have young children who play this game as well. And then apparently he started acting weird. And so she was like, I'm pretty sure he's cheating. And then also around this same time, Alyssa lost her aunt and then her father back to back.
I found out my husband is a pedophile and I posted a video about it and I left out most of the details, and a few people were asking for the longer version of the story and more details, so I will try to recall as many as I can. I'll start in August of 2024, which is when we downloaded Roblox for our kids. Biggest mistake ever. But they were asking if they wanted to play this game and it seemed innocent. I mean, Roblox is innocent at the end of the day, but people like my husband are what makes it dangerous. So I had Roblox because my daughter wanted me to play that Just to Impress game with her. And then my son wanted me to play that like Brookhaven, and he just wanted me to like follow him around in a car. And then that one where there's like a deer in the forest, it's pretty popular. That is why I had Roblox, to play with my kids. And also I could keep an eye on them like that too. So obviously they wanted my husband, their dad, to play too. So he also had Roblox. He started acting super weird probably around September or October of 2024. I never thought to check Roblox. I just thought that he was cheating again at work. He cheated so much that when he has a certain attitude or acts a certain way, I already know it's because he's cheating or talking to someone else. So he was doing that. However, I have absolutely no proof.
Girl, I know it's ignorant for me to say, like, why'd you stay? Because, like, yes, they do have younger kids. If she's a stay-at-home mom, a lot of times you can't just leave. Like, what are you going to do? You know? So, ooh, girl, hopefully this blows up so much to where she can be monetized on TikTok and she can take all that money and leave his, because yikes. But also, like, this entire situation makes it easier for her to leave him anyways. I don't know, man. I will never understand the, like, oh, well, they cheated on me, but, like, he's a great dad. And it's like, okay, that doesn't mean you need to stay with them. I'm very much so like, I hate when people say stay together for the kids. And it's like, no, get a divorce for your kids. Like, leave, please. They can tell you're unhappy and it's just setting a great example of a horrible marriage. Sorry. Like I said, I know it's not easy to leave. I know a lot of people, it's like financially, you just can't do it and it'll make things harder and blah, blah. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's just easier to stay, which is very sad. Now that was a super smooth transition. I have not seen you in so long. It's Uncle Reggie. I don't know if you could tell because my mullet's growing out. There's something else you probably don't know either, and that is that the internet is trying to get inside your brain and tell you what to think, and that's not okay. People have no idea they're being influenced when they think they're being informed. Now that's why Ground News is my go-to platform for the news, to be able to compare these stories, the headlines, the truth, the biases, the fact check. And why I love that Chelsea put them on their channel. She got me set up with that Vantage plan. And let me tell you one more thing. I just, nothing.
Get back under the desk.
Okay, I'm sorry. Think about what I said. Think about it. I'm so sorry, guys. He told you about Ground News? Okay, I guess I'll at least just keep telling you about it. I don't know. So Ground News has obviously helped me with that guy, clearly, but I definitely do love knowing where information that I'm reading is coming from. I always say consider the source, and obviously I do mean that, not literally sometimes. I do be hyperbolic. But obviously, I mean that literally too. If you don't know where your information is coming from and just believe it willy-nilly and not understand biases and things like that, and who's profiting and benefiting from you believing certain information, you're just going to end up looking silly. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be educated and know all sides of everything, okay? Even if you don't agree with it. Ground News was founded by a female former NASA engineer who saw a much bigger problem here on Earth instead of focusing on, you know, whatever is going on in space or aliens or something like that. And so the only app out there helping you think for yourself and see all sides, gathering articles from thousands of sources around the world, organizing them by story, and then analyzing the political lean, credibility, and even those financial incentives, like I just mentioned, behind each perspective. Y'all know I love when you think critically and logically and all that. You can be silly and goofy too, but when it comes to taking in information, that's obviously more important, okay? Follow your favorite topics, even check out their blind spot feed so you can see, hey, maybe I'm missing a key factor of this topic, of this story. So make sure you go to ground.news/cc or click the link in my description box to sign up for the plan that I use every day and the one that I got Uncle Reggie started with too. And you'll save 40% on their Vantage plan. Like I said, that's the one I use, and that is ground.news/cc. And that knocks down the cost to just $5 a month. Thank you, Ground News, for being a continued sponsor of my channel. Thank you to you guys for continuing to support my sponsors. And now back to the video. So then she goes on further to explain like really just how emotional and like mentally not okay of a time it was with her aunt that she was really close with passing away from breast cancer, like seeing her deteriorate. And then right after her aunt passed away, then her dad had like multiple things happen to him and then now is in a vegetative state. She was told by the hospital that he had a week to live. And she just says that in that obviously horrible time, right? And just within that week that she was thinking it was like the last week that her dad would be alive, that's when her husband started talking to a little child, a little girl on Roblox, Active Volcano.
It was like February 2nd or something when he started to talk to her. And on the next part, I'll start to tell you about how he was acting while he was talking to her.
Like horrendous. So she talks super slow. So we are going to put it up to 1.5 speed. However, that's a super heavy topic. So I would also be talking very slow and like not be able to even articulate anything if I was her at this point.
He, during that entire month, was acting like a crazy, mean, horrible, like, I don't even know how to explain how fucking he was being, to the point where I told him, like, just go live with your mom because you're acting like complete shit around me and the kids. He was in school to be a lineman, and he was working at a hotel overnight. At that hotel job and at school is when he would mostly be talking to this little girl. So like I said, I told him, go live with your mom. And I had told him that so many times before, like, just move out. Like, we just need to be done. And he would always protest, like, no, like, I don't want to leave. This is my house. I don't want to be away from my kids. I love you guys. I blah, 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 blah. This time when I told him to go move out, he was like, yeah, okay, I'll tell my mom. And for some reason, like, all these alarms went off in my head because I was like, he's never willing to leave unless he already has another supply because he's a narcissist. So the fact that he was willing to go this time, like, I knew that there was someone else. So February 26th was the day that my daughter caught him and the day that I called the cops. I think that day he had taken them out of school early or something for some reason, and he took them to a park. While he was at the park with my kids, he was messaging this girl, and he referred to my kids as his niece and nephew. Not like, obviously, because he was lying, saying that he was 19, so how would he have kids, I guess? I don't know. But yeah, he pretended that his daughter and son were his niece and nephew. And that's the conversation that I saw. So after he went to the park, he went to HEB, and he was texting me. I was still at work. I got off at work at 5 p.m. that day. So when he was at HEB, I was working. He was texting me like, what do I get for dinner? Blah, blah, blah. And we decided to make homemade, like, make your own pizzas. While I was still at work, it was like 4:45. It was like almost 5. I was almost out of work. And I worked at a call center from home, so it was back-to-back calls. So my daughter comes into the room, and her eyes are like full of tears. She's red. She looks so upset. Like, her eyes are like humongous. And it sounds like she's trying not to cry. And then I was like, what the f happened? Like, I did say that. I was like, what the f happened to you? Like, I was scared. I was like, what the f happened? Because she looked so distraught. So then she goes and she tells me that while they were at HEB, she saw daddy texting a girl on Roblox, and that when he saw her looking at his phone, he pushed her. So I told her, like, it's okay, like, go into the bathroom, like, clean yourself up. I was comforting her, but I was also still at work. So I was like, I really don't want to deal with this. My heart sank, obviously. I was like, man, not this again. Like, I'm so sick of this. So this part, I'm not gonna lie, is a little bit hazy in my head. I don't remember if I got off my computer while I was working to go and confront him, or if I waited till I got out. I don't remember that. I know I did come back to my desk, but this is where, I mentioned in the other video, he had 2 phones. Roblox was on both phones, but one phone only worked with like Wi-Fi, and it really didn't work that well. It was like almost broken, but it was like a brick. So it was YouTube Kids and Roblox, and that's it. So anyways, I go into the kitchen, that's where he is, and I'm like, give me your phone. And I didn't tell him like, oh, Al told me this. I didn't say anything. I just said, give me your phone. And he was kind of like scared looking. And I was like, give me your phone. He gave it to me. And then I went to take it to the room, open Roblox. I couldn't even figure out how to get to her chats. And I figured out how to get to her chats. A message pops up from me, but like it was him on the other phone telling her, unfriend me, don't add me, block me, like panicking. And then she did. So I only saw maybe like 2 minutes worth of messages before she deleted him. And then I couldn't see the chat anymore. I'm going to make a part 3. This is where I guess it gets a lot more intense.
Oh my God. Police. Like, hello? Authorities? I would like to reserve an active volcano. Like, that's not. Nope. There's no reform for people like this. Just so y'all know. Like, studies have shown that there's no like rehabilitation. My insides feel like they're boiling. Oh my gosh. But you know what? Alyssa, that's her name. Alyssa, I love you. You are a badass. You are amazing. If there's anything that I can, not she's not watching this video, but if there's anything I can do to help you, do not hesitate to reach out to me. For the love of God, please. Holy crap. Disgusting. Okay. Literally the next, not me and my researcher being like the same person. So she has on here, it's like in bold, it says, how can we help Alyssa and her children? But yes, so TikTokers begged Alyssa to make a GoFundMe and she did. So we are going to share that. We'll put that on the screen and we are actually going to donate right now is what we're going to do. All right. Just got her halfway to her goal for a new start with her kids. So hopefully she can get away from this absolute monster. The GoFundMe description says, my name is Alyssa. Back in February 2025, I found out that my husband of almost 10 years is a pedophile when I caught him talking to a child through Roblox. I called the cops within 10 minutes. I'm trying to finish paying the fees I owe to the lawyer. I haven't been able to continue paying due to my funds being low. I am also going to need to find a place for my kids and I to live once our home is sold. I cannot afford this mortgage payment by myself. You are not obligated to help or donate, but if you'd like to, I'd appreciate it. A few people were asking how they could help. Yeah, absolutely, girlfriend. Hell yeah. Okay, so I will have that link down below if y'all want to donate. I would appreciate it, and I'm positive she would appreciate it. So I don't know if it like closes donations if the goal's met. But girl, even if she's met that, run those numbers up. Obviously, if you are not in the financial situation to do so, do not. Obviously, I feel like I shouldn't have to say that. But if you can, even $1, I actually don't know what the minimum is. I don't know. But if you are able to do that, even if you're able to share it, that helps like a billion times as well. So please, I would very much appreciate it. And I know she would too. Because personally, I think it's a bit ridiculous that, I mean, at this point, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people have viewed her video. And then there's only been 21 donations. But then there's like been a lot of people who have said they like want to donate. I don't know. I always find that interesting when like people ask for something so much, but then when it happens, then there's like, it's like a flop. Not saying her GoFundMe is a flop. It's not, obviously, but I just find that really interesting. Anyways, do it or you're grounded. Okay, so here's part 3, and she describes the messages on her ex's phone.
So when I got his phone and I saw just the initial messages from like that day or that like those past couple of hours, the messages that he was sending her said something like, you have the face of an angel. I cannot believe last night was real. You have me bewitched by your angel face. Like he keeps thinking about last night. And when I saw those messages, I thought that he was cheating on me with someone he worked with at the hotel, someone from school or something like that. And they were just using the Roblox chat feature to communicate. So that way I wouldn't see it on like the phone log or something. So that was my initial thought, was like, for sure, he's cheating, but I never knew that it wasn't actually cheating. It was beyond cheating. I know that I'm going to say like he was cheating, but like I feel like I can't say that it's cheating because it was a girl, like a little girl. And I feel like when you cheat, it's someone who's able to consent to having an affair, and that little girl could not consent. So that's why I keep saying like this is just the day when I found out that he's a pedophile. So yeah, before I knew her age, I just assumed that it was just him cheating, and I thought it was with someone at work, and he worked at a hotel overnight. So when he said, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about last night, I thought that he was like doing stuff with someone at work, literally. I mean, So just to like clarify with the timeline, it was around 5:30 when everything started. Like I started to talk to him about it. I called him over and I tried to ask him like what happened, like what is this, like what's happening right now, like you already know what I'm going through, like why are you doing this? He immediately shifted everything to me. He said that I'm a bitch, that everything that he does like that is my fault because I treat him like, and that he wants a divorce and that he cannot stand me and that I've made him miserable all these years. He's not going to stay here and get questioned by me. He doesn't want to talk about it. Like, he was just saying all this shit, and obviously I was so caught off guard because I was like, what the f-? Like, the next day, this happened on a Wednesday. The next day was a Thursday, and I had like PTO on that day, and he was planning to take me to go see a movie because we weren't like truly, like, yeah, he was being, but we weren't like, I wasn't arguing with him that much. I was just so depressed. So the next day we were supposed to go see a movie, and he was like, I'm gonna get your ice cream. And all right, sorry, that part just really gets me mad or upset, sad. So yeah, I was telling him, like, we were supposed to see a movie, like, we were fine, like, I'm so, like, not that we were perfect, like, I know that he was acting a certain way, but we were like, in that moment I was just excited about going to a movie with him. So all of this getting like dumped on me and then him saying all that stuff, like, I was like, what the f is it? Like, I felt like I was dreaming. I'm not even kidding. So we were talking for a while. I wish we would have waited until the kids were asleep. We weren't like yelling at each other. We were talking, and they were like on their iPads or something. So then my kids, they end up going to sleep. We put them to bed, we feed them, and we're just not talking about it. Once they go to sleep, I had his phone still. I took the other phone away, and I don't even remember where I put it. The second phone, I hid it somewhere. And on his like regular phone, I had the password changed so that way like I could address everything and see like what was happening and who she was. So then once the kids are asleep, I go back onto his phone, and I had taken pictures on my phone of like the messages where he was saying like how she has the face of an angel or whatever, and how last night was just so unbelievable. So I saw her username, and I went obviously and I added her from his account. She immediately accepted it, and then she started being like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? And I didn't want her to be suspicious that it's not him and then delete me, because then I wouldn't be able to see all of the messages that I needed to see. And she ended up deleting me. So I only saw maybe like a week's worth of a message, and I took pictures of that. For that week, it was probably like maybe 300 pictures. I don't even remember. So I was just trying to screen record. I had my phone and I was recording, and I had like a 20-minute long video of their messages and from his phone. So I was pretty much like recording with my phone onto the other phone. So then I start to get a weird feeling, that intuitive feeling that I told you. Like, I just feel like this is so much more sinister than him cheating. Like, I just feel like there's something else. Like, I didn't know who this girl was. He didn't want to tell me her name. He actually lied to me and the cops about her name, even though he knew her real name.
300 pictures. 300 pictures. 300 pictures. Holy crap. That's a lot. That's so scary. So she told, oh my God. Ugh. Ooh, bleh. Okay. So turns out that it obviously wasn't someone from his work or an adult, you would think. So he is 29 years old, and he was pretending to be 19, and the victim is 15. Lord.
I asked him, I was like, how old is this girl? And he was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how old she was. I don't know. And I was like, you're lying. You're lying to me. So then I asked him, how old did you say you were? And he was like, 19. So then I messaged the girl while she was still friends with him, but it was actually me. And I was like, how old are you? And she sent like all these question marks, like several of them. And it was like confused. Like, she was like, what do you mean? Like, how, you know how old I am? I'm 15. I've told you so many times. Like, and then I got so sick. I just felt all of this get so hot. I felt it just come up. I vomited in the bathroom. It hurt so bad because it just came out like projectile into the tub. And then I was shaking. I felt like my, I'm trying not to cry. Stop. Okay. I felt like my legs were so wobbly, like I couldn't even stand up. So I came out of the bathroom, and my desk was right next to the bathroom. So I sat on my chair, and I looked at him, and he was on the bed across the room. And I told him, she's a kid. Like, I'm going to call the cops on you. And he started panicking. He was like adjusting himself, and it honestly looked like he was rocking himself back and forth, I guess, to try to comfort himself. I don't know, but it just reminded me of like a child when you catch them doing something wrong. And I felt this really weird feeling about seeing him, because I didn't even see him as like a person anymore. I felt like I was sitting face to face with like a demon. It was just pure evil. I could feel it. And it wasn't like a scared feeling where I'm like, oh my God, is he gonna get up and hurt me? Because if we're being honest here, we're the same height, and I honestly think I could f him up. So it wasn't that kind of feeling. It was more of like just this sinister evil feeling.
That's crazy, man. That's so, oof. You think you could f him up? I would. Like, that's justified. I'm joking. For legal purposes, we are not inciting violence against anyone, even schmetaphiles. So on to part 4, and just so y'all know, she just posted part 7. So there's gonna be updates by the time this video that I post is posted. That was a whole lot of words. But she does have on her TikTok, she has like the series, and it's titled Catching a Predator. Love that. So scary. So her husband blamed her for what he did and was begging her not to call the police.
So when I told him that I knew her age and that I was gonna call the cops, he got really uncomfortable. He panicked and he was shaking back and forth, and he was telling me that it's all my fault. And he was also telling me that if I called, that I'm just gonna make things so much worse. And he was basically like pleading with me not to call. He was like, please, like, don't call them. Because he was blaming me for what he did, I thought that he was gonna get arrested, but I thought that because he was blaming me so intensely that I was gonna get arrested too. So I called the non-emergency line, because it wasn't an emergency. Like, someone's life was not, you know, being threatened in that moment. So I didn't want to make them like panic or come, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to call 911. So I wanted to just talk to, I guess, like the non-emergency line. So I called the non-emergency line, and it was a man, and I told him, look, no one is hurt. We don't need anything like that. But I just wanted to report that I found my husband talking to a little girl. I'm literally starting to shiver again. So I lost my shit while I was talking to the dispatcher, and I was just crying, and I don't remember if I mentioned my aunt. I might have, but I just like was telling them like I'm going through so much, and he just did this to me. And then they got my address, my name, his name, and eventually the cops showed up. But before they showed up, I called my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, and I told her that they might come and arrest me because he's blaming me for everything. And I just wanted someone to be here with the kids. I didn't want them to be scared or woken up in the middle of the night because of their dad. So I called her, and then she showed up, and I messaged my family group chat, and I told them what was going on, and my brothers were ready to come, but I didn't want any commotion like that. I didn't want my kids to be disturbed, basically. So the cops, it was 2 cops that showed up, and one of them took me inside to get my side of the story, and I had his phone, and the other one was outside. So I was showing him the messages. I re-added the girl or whatever. When I re-added the girl, and I'm like kind of hesitant to say this part, but it's important. She was crashing out so badly and threatening to hurt herself, because I don't remember what exactly happened. I think I might have said something like, he's 29, he has a wife and kids or something like that. And she just lost it. And I was like, and I said that in front of the cop. I was like, listen, like, he's in trouble. Okay. So she was crashing out and deleted again. And then he saw like right then and there that all the chats disappeared. So I still had the screenshots, and I still had the like 20-minute long video. So then he left me inside for a little bit, and then he came back in, talked to me, and he's like, yeah, he admitted it. He confessed to wanting to have oral or perform oral that on the girl. So they got him confessing, they had the evidence, and they did not arrest him. And I was so confused. I was like, what? You're not going to arrest him right now? Like, what? And they were like, yeah, I mean, we don't even know where this girl is or who she is. Like, it could be an older girl for all we know. And I was like, what the f-? So he believed that she was a child. He wanted to do these things to a child. He told you about it. He admitted it to you. He confessed to you. You have all this evidence, and you still are not going to arrest him. So that was absolutely infuriating. So I told the cops, like, we have children in this home together. They're sleeping. They're safe. But what the hell, I want him around these kids. And basically what the cop said was, well, the kids never made an outcry. The kids are not in danger. He didn't do anything to your kids, so he doesn't have to leave right now. Keep in mind, this happened February 26th. He didn't want to leave, but every single time I saw him, I couldn't even sleep right, knowing that he was in the same house. Every single time I saw him, I wanted to fight him. I'm not even kidding. It took everything in me not to lay a hand on him. I'm being so honest right now and transparent. I wanted to cause severe bodily harm to this man. So maybe like 2 or 3, before March 3rd, so I don't really know how many days that was, he left. So no, for those asking, he is never and has never been alone with my kids since this happened. Yeah, he's never, ever going to be alone with my kids again. On the next part, I think it'll be part 5. This is when the case gets assigned to a detective, and where I start really trying to find who this girl is. And I did find her.
All too often we see these types of situations online, but then the wife defends the husband. And I am so happy that that is not the case here. You are a badass. You are amazing. You're a really great mom and woman. So the thing is that I understand that it is very frustrating that it's not like a slap the cuffs on you, take you away. But with like that, there does have to be an investigation, and then an arrest would come. So potentially they would find even more things, but it's not just like arrest and then investigation, you know. But I do understand that it's absolutely infuriating when it's like, no, I'm literally showing you all of this, and like he just admitted to it. Like, what are you what? Not a fan of that. Okay. So this is absolutely something I love as well. Alyssa, you're such a badass. Like, hell yeah, girl. I said that in a DM to her as well, letting her know that I'm making a video about it. But then also, 'cause she doesn't know who I am. But, you know, I like to at least like with TikTok versus YouTube, not versus, but, you know, like with TikTokers, if I like am supportive of their story, like I want them to know that. And then also like I'm making a video about it. Like it's not going to be bad. Obviously, you're amazing. amazing. You're a good mom. You're a good human. Like, anyways, so she says next in part 5 that after the police came to the house, that she contacted her, let's just go ahead and call him the ex-husband's school and job. And it says here that she sent screenshots and told them what he'd been caught doing. He dropped out of school due to the embarrassment of it. Love that. They didn't kick him out, but his job did fire him. So that's good.
So that night, he did not get arrested. And pretty much I went a little bit crazy and he was in school. So I told his school, I sent an email to, I think, his enrollment coach or something like that. And I'd let them know what he did with screenshots. They did not kick him out. They did not remove him. He decided to stop going to school because he was too embarrassed that now they know the kind of person that he is. Since he was doing all of this while he was at work at his hotel job, I called them too. And I talked to someone. He was so cool. Like, he was so nice to me. And I told him, like, hey, like, I'm this person's wife. And he was using the time that he was at work to talk with this little girl. And he was like, oh my God, like, I knew something was up with him. He was texting nonstop. He kept going to the bathroom for like 30 minutes at a time and all this other stuff. He did work that next day. And when he went in, he was fired. Keep in mind how I said that he was telling her that he cannot stop thinking about the night before. There was a call. I don't remember if it was on Roblox or maybe somewhere else. There was a call between them. Use your imagination about what that call was about. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, obviously his job did not want anything to do with him after that. Thank God. So at this point, I had only seen about a week's worth of the messages between them, and I didn't even get to see the bad messages. I didn't discover the bad messages until like April, and they were so much worse than I could have imagined that they were. But anyways, during that whole first week before the detective called me, I contacted the FBI and this other one, like missing and exploited children or something like that. And that was recommended to me by one of my friends. She was like, you could do this, you could do this. And we're in Texas. The girl was from another state. I'm not going to say the state. She was from a different state. So there was something about crossing state lines where the FBI could be involved. I contacted the FBI through like their survey or something online that I filled out. Someone did call me back, and they basically were asking me like all this stuff about him. I didn't know who this girl was at this point yet. I didn't know her name. I didn't know anything about her. So they just had a very, very small bit of information about him, but not really about her. So then the detective calls me, and I'm eating lunch at Chick-fil-A in the car. And I'm like, oh, like this would be like one of the first like meals that I had because I didn't want to eat that whole week. So I was like, yum, yum, yum. And I was about to eat my food, and then I get a call, and she's like, oh, hello, is this Alyssa? Like, this is Detective blank. And I'm just calling. I wanted to know if you had any information about what the girl's name is or like anything like that, because while what he did is wrong, I cannot do anything to him unless I verify that there is a victim that's actually, I fucking said that weird, until I verify that there's a victim that's actually underaged. So yeah, she could be saying that she's this age, but unless we verify it, they can't do anything. So that made my heart sink, and I was like, he's gonna get away with this. He will get away with this. So what he told me, I'm not gonna say the name that he said her name was. Let's just say that he told me and the cops that her name was Chloe, and he completely lied about it. He knew what her real name was, but he didn't want to get caught. So then I think another week from that initial phone call from the detective went on, and all she said was, hey, we turned his phone because that day when the cops came, they seized, I think that's what it's called, they seized his phone. So she had his phone, and they gave it over to something called HSI. I don't know what HSI is, but it's the people who go in and they try to find like the IP addresses and stuff. And she was like, I'm just telling you, we are very, very overwhelmed with so many different cases. Like, even just finding out who she is could take very, very long, like 6 to 8 months. And I just went into this horrible episode of just hopelessness, and I was just like, I just felt so defeated. I can't even describe how defeated I felt.
Also, we're going to go over the like screenshots that she shared of their conversation. And then also a not like side quest, but another aspect of this is that his family's defending him, which it's like, how? And then I want to go over other people who have outed others as pedophiles and stuff like that. Obviously, if you have proof, sure, go for it. But like, if you don't, let's not just be like, you know, accusing everyone of being a schmedophile, okay? Horrendous, awful. I hate this. Okay, let's get into these screenshots.
Remember how I said he had 2 phones, and while I was looking or trying to look through the messages from like me or from him came up that said like unfollow me, unfriend me? That's these messages. I saw this come up live as I had his phone, and he was there on his other phone messaging her to unfriend him. So I don't know what the hell that is, but unfollow me now. I don't even know what that says. Be right back now. He was panicking because I was about to find out what he was doing. Now, these are the messages that I saw where he was saying, I can't stop thinking about last night. And that's when I thought that he was with someone physically. It is really, really hard to look back at these screenshots. I'm not even kidding. Like, it makes me feel sick. But I'm awake now. I feel better after sleeping. Just wish it was with you. Be safe at school, baby kitten. I didn't even remember seeing that. I freaking can't stop thinking about last night. My amazing day started when I woke up to know that last night was all real. And I'm at the park, just me and the 2 kids. They didn't go to school today. I love kids. What he's referring to about last night was a phone call between them. I don't know how they had the phone call. I don't know. But there was a phone call like on voice chat or something like that where it was extremely inappropriate, and I don't want to say too much. But this next one is one of the less... I have two screenshots that I'm going to show you. They're both bad, but they are nowhere near as bad as the other messages that I found in April. We are definitely more than friends, unless I'm wrong here. And trigger warning on this one. Trigger warning, scroll away if you don't want to be sick. And like I said, this is bad. This is horrible, horrifying, disgusting. And it's still nowhere near as bad as everything else that he was telling her.
So I'm going to put, not me, my beautiful, amazing, awesome editing team is going to put like a little thing, a little bumper at the bottom here that says, oh, she hearted my comment. Good. Okay. A little bumper at the bottom here that says like, skip to this timestamp if you want to skip this grossness. Okay. I'm not trying to ruin your day, girl.
So I'm going to give you another chance to scroll away. Actually, I think I might get flagged. So hold on. Let me try to block out certain words. Never mind. I'm just going to show it. So yeah, I don't think it's really hard to even go back and look through those screenshots to try to comb through what's not as serious, even though they're all serious, but the ones that just aren't as bad, it's still hard to even look back at because it just puts me right back there.
Now, since that call with the FBI and they had basically told Alyssa, listen, we need to like know that there is a victim that is underage, you know, that is a minor, so that this is something that is illegal. And so she was like, you know what? F it. I'm literally going to find this girl myself, which... love that attitude. And so she was able to, since she had all like the login information still of her husband's Roblox accounts and like the phone and stuff, she was able to go, or maybe not the phone, maybe it was just the login information. Either way, she was able to get back in there and go to the chats and refriend her and like go all the way up to where she could see the girl's first and last name and the state that she lives in. Alyssa has her TikTok account where she has been telling this story. She also made a different TikTok account with her husband's like face on it and outed him and told her story there. And his family reported it and got it taken down, which is disgusting. And then through some sleuthing, which isn't really that hard at all, Alyssa was thankfully able to find the girl, where she goes to school, where she lives, multiple friends of hers as well, due to like their Instagram bio or TikTok bio, whatever, saying like what school they go to. Excuse me, is this thing on? Don't do that. Don't put what, like obviously like college is a little bit different, but like also don't do that. Stop. Don't do that. Do not do that. You are asking to get abducted or catfish. Do not do that. Stop it. And so I misspoke previously. She found the friends first and the school. And then from there, she found going through the school's follower list, she was able to find the victim's Instagram account. So Alyssa also made another video about how, because people were like, oh my God, like you have young children, like hopefully like he didn't do anything to them. And so she talked about how she sought help to have these conversations, because those are real tough conversations, but she sought help in to how to handle that situation and how to talk to her children about that. And she basically just updated her viewers that her kids are safe and thank God, and that like they're doing okay.
So I joined these two support groups that I found, and I don't remember what they were. One was on Facebook, one was on Reddit. And I pretty much asked for advice, and I was like, I'm in this situation and I just want to make sure that nothing happened to my kids. So there's certain ways based on your child's age that you can ask them questions like this, but you're never supposed to just go and straight up be like, hey, has this person ever done anything to you? So pretty much on 3 separate occasions, I separated them and I asked them one by one, very calmly, like, hey, like, you know, you can tell me anything. I'm always going to have your back. I'm always going to believe you no matter what. I'm always going to believe you. And asked if anybody's ever touched them, done anything to them, or anything like that. Like, are you keeping any secrets? Is anybody telling you to keep secrets from me? Anything. And no, they never said anything like that. Thank God. And it's been about, I don't know, from February to almost November now, and they still haven't said anything. But yeah, that was a concern of mine too, unfortunately.
So now, as I was filming, as I assumed, part 7 has been uploaded. So I'm going to go to that.
I found out my husband is a pedophile, part 7. So in part 6, I found the victim myself, and then I found a lot more evidence in their chats, and then I ended up finding her on Instagram. I found out like the city she lived in, the school she went to. It felt really weird, but anyways, I did turn all that into the detective. So then how I found her mother is she had her Instagram completely private, so I couldn't see like any of her followers or anything like that. So I was like, maybe she has a Facebook, and I know like moms are on Facebook, like that's just a mom thing to be on Facebook. So the girl, the victim, did have a Facebook, but everything was private. So I was like, I can't look her up on like True People search because she's a child, like she's not going to come up. So then I looked through like her cover photo, and her cover photo likes were public, and there was 2 women on there that I thought might be either like a grandma and or her mom. So I sent them both a very brief message like, hey, like I introduced myself and I said my name's Alyssa and I need to talk to you something concerning this girl. And they both just stayed there. Like obviously when you message someone who's not friends with you on Facebook, like it's gonna go to like a spam folder. And for me personally, I don't even see those messages on my Facebook until like months later, and I was not about to wait months again. So I looked both of them up on True People search, and I didn't find one, but I found the other, and that just so happened to be her mom. So it was like 5 or 6 a.m. my time. There's a time difference. I'm in a different state. So it was like 1 or 2 in the morning in her state when I dropped this bomb on her. And I feel bad about that, but also like this should have been addressed when it happened. I sent her a message, and it was iMessage. So I was like, hey, my name's Alyssa. I have something to talk to you about concerning like, I think your daughter. And she replied almost immediately, which was shocking. And also like, I was like, thank God, because I couldn't even wait until you woke up for you to respond to me. Like, I'm telling you, you do not understand how crazy I was going. So then she replies and she's like, is everything okay? Like, are you from her school? Like what happened? And then I explained everything to her, and I told her like the username. She confirmed like, yes, that's my daughter's account. Yes, that's my daughter. And then she asked me for proof basically. So I sent her everything that I had. I sent her the case number. I sent her the detective's name, work number, and email. She had the reaction that you would imagine. She was absolutely mortified, and you know, she thanked me for reaching out, but she was also like, how did you find me? And I was like, well, I explained it to her. Like, yeah, I had to be a little bit of a stalker, I guess. I don't know. Good intentions. So yeah, in the morning, I think I texted once the mom confirmed that like, yes, that's my daughter. I was like, thank God. I felt like we were getting somewhere now. So I messaged the detective and I told her, I found the mom, I found the girl, here's their number, here's whatever. And she thanked me and she's like, okay, cool, like I'll reach out to her at whatever time. And I told the detective, like I gave the mom your information because at the end of the day, I'm only a witness, and I wasn't the victim here. There is a victim here, and it is not me. It is that little girl that he was grooming and smexting on Roblox. So there's only so much that I can do because I wasn't directly involved. But basically, the mom was keeping me in the loop. And she was like, well, now I thought that would be enough because the detective only told me, like, once we confirm that we have a victim, then we can do something. So then they confirmed that they have a victim now, and they confirmed that the victim's underage, and the mom was able to confirm, like, yeah, that's my daughter. But then the detective said, oh, well, now we need a statement from the victim. And this is where it does get a little or very much delicate because so many victims, it's really, really hard for them to come forward or make a statement against the abuser. So the detective was supposed to give the mom like next steps to follow. And then at that point, like I wasn't involved anymore. So a couple months went by. This was June. And just a couple weeks ago, the mom reached out and she's like, hey, like we finally went and we made, she made her statement. So now this is a fact. The detectives have evidence. They have him admitting to what he did. They have a victim and they have a victim statement. And it has been a couple weeks. I don't even remember because during the time when she messaged me, my grandma passed away. So it just like is blurry in my head about when this happened. But they have all of that. So now I can't really do anything else. There is a very high chance that, yeah, they'll still arrest him in the next couple days or weeks because they have all that information that they were missing. But as of right now, it has been all these months and he has been walking free to do it again.
Jesus. So that is infuriating. And I know with a lot of situations, even not just this situation, like even for instance, not me bringing up Elizabeth Teckenbrock in every single video, but even with like the FBI investigation against her, there have been so many people who are like, while you're doing your investigation, she's literally like, since your investigation subsequently there, really like when I think it started, which would have been it was early this year, I believe. It was in the first quarter of the year, but she has scammed so many more people since then. And it's wild. It is wild. It's so scary because it's like people like this, pedophiles, it's a disgusting hunger that you have. And you like, I don't want to say you can't help it, but it's like you can't, I don't know. It's disgusting. It's gross. I hate it. And it's so scary and harmful and absurd that like, it's literally not that hard. As she just said, you have the evidence, you have the victim, you have the victim statement, like you have literally everything. And he's just still out here. I hope that by the time I release this video, he has been arrested, and let's hope to God that he doesn't get like a deferred sentence or something like that, or just like a slap on the wrist, because he should be put into a active volcano. So that's horrible and I hate it. But there are other people who have come out and publicly outed their husbands or partners or whoever after finding out that they are pedophiles. So let's give another few examples of that, because I obviously like, I hate it. I hate this topic, but I love this like flip side of the topic where it's like, absolutely do not stand by it. You deserve better. You're standing up for other humans and children. But then also we're way too used to people who defend and go to bat for these disgusting people on the internet. Like insane. Like we've literally covered 2 wives who are defending these types of behaviors in like the past, 3 months, 2 months. It's crazy. Now, we did skip over some parts of Alyssa's story and just like little things here and there, just, you know, for the sake of like runtime itself. And obviously, please do go support her. Please go comment on her videos, share them, share the GoFundMe, donate if you can. Like I said, there are some other ones that I want to go over as well. Now, this user's username is Jessica_Haynes, and she shared in a 3-part little series about finding out that her husband was or is a pedophile. And she did 3 parts, but this is them combined into one video. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. She does speak a bit slow. Obviously, like with Alyssa, it's a very heavy topic. You're not going to be super articulate when you're talking about this. This is crazy. But again, for the sake of runtime, all that, I'm going to put it on 2 times speed as we're going through it.
Which I soon found out were armed police officers that broke down my door and were coming for my ex-husband. I woke up to them coming up the stairs, and in that state of mind, I was in a nightgown, and I promptly put on pants. I don't know why. That was my first instinct, is I can't, whatever's going to happen, I can't do it without pants on. So I put pants on, and I closed and locked our bedroom door that we often left open. My ex-husband was cowering behind me when this all happened. When the police officers got to our bedroom door, they were like knocking on our bedroom door, and I asked if I could see a badge, because I listened to a lot of true crime podcasts, and that seemed like the right thing to do. So I asked to see a badge, and whenever I like slightly opened our bedroom door, they kind of yanked it all the way open and pulled me and my ex-husband out of our bedroom. And they took us over towards the landing of our stairs. They handcuffed my ex-husband. They started handcuffing me. They got 1 handcuff on my right wrist before I overheard somebody yelling, "No, not her." Then they promptly took the handcuffs off of me and apologized profusely for doing that to me. At the time that they took us out of our bedroom, I was extremely concerned for our dogs and our cats. Specifically our dogs, though. I have 2 large dogs, a golden doodle and a husky lab mix, that were barking out of their minds. I was yelling at the dogs that it's okay, they need to remain calm, in the way that you try to comfort dogs when you don't want them to react. What are you doing? Good boy. Good job. So then they led my ex-husband out to the police car to serve him the search warrant and to take him in to get his fingerprints. And they led me down to my kitchen area where we had some seating, and I was kept there by 2 armed guards. At the time that I was taken down the stairs, I looked out the window and I saw armed police officers walking through our yard, and it looked like a video game. Parts of my memory are a little bit blurry. I'm trying to remember exactly how many armed police officers there were, and I think it was maybe around 15 armed police officers that were in my house. And then there were the cyber department part of the police, maybe 10 members that were there for that. They were in vans, I think, in the street, and some of them were inside. And there were 2 detectives total. They searched our house for any and all the electronics. The armed police officers were very friendly towards the dogs, though. Once we got downstairs, whenever I was in the kitchen area, they ushered the dogs over to where I had a gate to going downstairs. And I think some of them even like let the dogs out into the yard to go potty, and they were taking pretty good care of the dogs, and the cats were hiding, so they were fine. They gathered all of the electronics, and the specific electronics that were mine, my phone and my laptops, they cleared for me to use pretty quickly, so I could have them back like that day. And whenever they kept me there, they made it very clear that I'm free, that I can leave at any time, that I can make phone calls or text anybody that I needed to, because I texted my boss, letting him know I wasn't going to work that day. And then after a little bit of waiting, the detectives came to talk to me. They let me know what crime my ex-husband had committed. They told me that our house is being searched for any evidence of possession and distribution of child porn, and my world shattered. My first thought went to my nieces. At the time, my nieces were 9 years old and 7 years old. My sister was pregnant with a 3rd daughter. She was due like later that month. And then my sister-in-law had a little girl as well. I needed the assurance that our nieces were in no part involved with the charges. I showed the detectives pictures of all of the nieces to try to ensure that they didn't recognize them, and they told me that they didn't think that they had been involved. after that, they started asking me questions, trying to like make it as easy as possible for them to get into his devices. So I gave them any emails, usernames, and passwords that I could think of. He's not the best criminal, so he uses the same password for almost everything that I know of. So that was pretty helpful into getting to his different accounts. They also had me confirm pictures of myself that I didn't know that he took of me, where I was nude, and I hadn't consented to him taking them. I was interviewed for about 2 hours, I think. I think I was occupied with the detectives from 7-ish a.m. till 9-ish a.m. And they left about as promptly as they arrived. I guess maybe the armed police officers were kind of trickling out at that time, but I was pretty much interviewed for a full 2 hours. And then they left. And I think I sobbed for probably an hour and called my mom because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do at that point. And they had taken my ex-husband away to I didn't know where. And I needed to make the decision. Am I going to pick him up from where he's being fingerprinted or not?
The answer is not, girl. Yikes. So Jessica goes on further on her account and answers like literally everyone's questions, which fascinating. Love that. Obviously, like hate that she has gone through this. Obviously, I mean, that's super traumatic. But then also, I think maybe it seems like talking about it for her is, you know, part of that closure and part of that, like it's having like a therapeutic element to it. So I do love that for her. And she is getting like a lot of support. It's truly, truly crazy. And I'm just so sorry to her for what she has been through. But like I said, she has posted a lot of like answers to the questions that like, I mean, valid ones that people are asking. And so I personally think it's not helpful, I guess interesting to hear like these answers from someone who has been through this. Yeah, because I mean, there's so many people who are like, if that happened to me, like I'd ask them like, why, obviously, but then also like, were there any signs, or like people are like, how did you not know? Or like, was your relationship like good? Or like, how are your kids? Like you never had kids, like what were the red flags? And I do really like that she's being really transparent, especially because it seems like it is part of like a healing journey for her. And then we have another person who's sharing their story. It is a little bit different, but their username is phoenix.untaped. I don't know if it's supposed to be untapped, but that would be 2 P's. Right? Are you taped? I don't know. Okay, so hers is, we have a little synopsis here, but we'll watch it as well. And it says that she shares a heartbreaking story of how her older son responded to his little sister, who was the victim of her pedophile father. And then also on the flip side of that, we, you know, can compare that to a situation where a young girl tells her older brothers that their father has sexually assaulted her twice, and then they immediately believe her. They, you know, get their mom, and all of them move to safety, basically. And a lot of times with this, it's the cognitive dissonance of it all, where it's like, okay, well, you're telling me that this person did this to you, but then for that to be true, that means that whatever I have believed about this, you know, person, or like my relationship with them, or possibly like things that they've told me, like that means that all of that potentially is a lie. And so it's really just challenging your beliefs, and that can be really hard for people, but it's just so much more damaging when we don't believe victims, especially in these types of scenarios. So this is, I don't know if her name is Phoenix, who knows, not me, but she has 4 children, and there's boy, I believe. And her daughter was essayed by this woman's husband, by their father, and horrible, awful, obviously. Cue up the volcano. So her husband went to prison, and when he got out of prison, the daughter didn't have to see him, thank God, but because there's a protective order until she's 18. But the other 3 kids, the boys, they could supervise visits if they wanted to. And so the mom offered it to them. She was like, listen, if you want to see him, you can. And the younger 3, including the victim as well, all said no. And the older son was like, yeah, I do want to see him. And I really do like the way that she explains this, because she's like, I wanted to, like, this woman is so strong, saying like, I wanted to like give them that option, and like, you know, have that understanding, because in patience, because they're children, they don't know, and like their brains can't like comprehend certain things, right? And so just like the way she's handling this had handled this is glorious, like so amazing, like good God, crazy. So she's basically where we are in her story. I just, you know, gave you a synopsis of the first half of it, but how she explains it is that her oldest son like kept wanting to know, like, okay, well, you know, you said that daddy went away because he hurt someone, but she was like, I'm not going to tell you who, just you know, but this is what happened. And yeah, so she gave him more details, and then he, you know, kept wanting to, you know, talk about it more with her. And she's saying that they were in the car on the way to therapy or something. She can't really remember how much time had passed between like all of that, but they were in the car on the way to therapy, and he was asking her some questions, and then he like sat back and was quiet, and she was pretty sure that he like put the pieces together of like, oh, my dad hurt my sister. Then after that, her son was like, I don't want to see my dad anymore. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to see him. I don't want anything to do with him. So kids are smart.
And I kind of wondered if he was going to ask me to confirm that it was his sister, if he was going to talk to his sister, you know, but he didn't. He just quietly cut his dad off. Said, I don't have anything to do with him. So fast forward to what was supposed to be the beginning of the trial, but he ended up taking a plea deal that day. And then the prosecutor surprised us all by saying, you know what, the victim doesn't feel completely safe with him out there. Now that he knows what he's really facing, I think he could be desperate, and the family doesn't feel safe. So I think that he should go back into custody while he's waiting for sentencing. And the judge agreed, and so they took him into custody right there, like back into custody. And I was stunned. I had no idea, and so was she. But she was so relieved, and there was so much weight off of her, because this was mainly done at this point. She didn't have to appear anymore, nothing, you know. So as we're driving home, I was like, you know, I want to tell you something that I said, I think your brother knows. Now, he is her best friend, and he loves her so much, and he always has. He has always been very protective of her. He's always really cared for her, looked out for her, and absolutely just loves her. Anyway, I said, I think your brother knows that it's you, and I think he figured it out a while ago. But he's never asked me to confirm it. And he's never said anything to you. And I think it's because he's been respecting your privacy. Like, I think he loves you that much that he has just been keeping it to himself out of respect for you. I just thought you should know that. And, you know, that really made her feel good. After that, eventually, she started a conversation with him, and she talked openly with him, and they've been open about it ever since. I was really proud of him for a few things. I was so proud of him. For one, not doubting her at all. He never once was like, how do we know that he did that? He never asked her to prove it. He never demanded answers from her. In fact, he loved her and cared about her so much that he just kept it to himself. He didn't even tell her that he knew, because he knew that she didn't want him to know yet, or that she wasn't ready for him to know yet. So he just kept it to himself.
That's crazy, man. Really, like, all that comes to mind is me just being like, that mom's a way better mom than I could ever be. Like, emotionally, like, how are you that emotionally mature? I don't know. Maybe I will be, but like, I say will be. I already have a kid, but like, you know, when he is a real human. But anyways, it's just, that's beautiful. Those kids are very lucky to have her as a mother. But we also have Leah here, who is going to tell us about the story time about when she found out that her ex-boyfriend was a schmedophile.
Story time of when I found out my ex was a PDF. I was 18 and he was 26. I dated him for like 4 or 5 months, maybe. You get me? I saw like there was no weirdness or anything like that. Like, he was just a boyfriend. He was just a regular boyfriend. He was weird. You get me? Like, he was very reserved and stuff like that. But everything was fine, right? A few months after we broke up, the bitch shows up on the news. That is insane. He shows up on the news saying that there was this group of cops that will go on this specific app, and it was called an app. It was called the Whisper app. You get me? It was called the Whisper app. And there was a group of police people, undercover police people, that were pretending to be minors. They were pretending to be minors, and they were messaging with people, right? And he was one of the people that they messaged. And the agreement, they showed the messages and everything. The agreement was that this 15-year-old was going to go get picked up by him because she needed a ride, right? And before that, there was explicit stuff and they couldn't show it. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? You get me? And they told him to show up at this place and everything, and he shows up, right? He shows up, and they arrest him and everything, and they found multiple phones in his truck, load of cash in his truck, and they arrested him and charged him for PDF stuff. He got charged with shit, and I was reading, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, who in the hell did I meet? Like, what? Like, that's insane. Like, and that's the story how I found out my ex was a PDF. Because he got caught. Because he got caught with trying to pick up this 15-year-old and take her somewhere. Like, that's insane.
Hear me out. She's like, there weren't any red flags. The red flag is that you are a teenager and he's in his mid to late 20s and he's interested in you. That's a red flag. Literally right there. That's awful. Dear God. There's no reason for someone in their mid to late 20s to be dating someone who's 18. You have quite literally nothing in common. You are in a completely different... And listen, I understand it's legal. Doesn't mean that it's not weird. Okay. Okay. Also, statistically, allegedly, I love how I say like proven, then maybe, I don't know. It really does seem like, and if I can find like some stats or something to support this, I'll put it on screen. But it really does seem like the people who are getting arrested for, committing these types of crimes are men in their 20s and early 30s. But it's crazy because like when you think about, like we have this preconceived idea of who these people are, like in the dark shadows, and they're like doing nefarious things on computers and stuff. But realistically, it's like young men doing this, and it's so terrifying. So if you or someone you know has been a victim of child exploitation, we will have some resources down below. You can also go to missingkids.org, which we will have the QR code right here for. And we will have a bunch of national and international resources and links and stuff like that in the description box below. So definitely check those out and support people who have stories like this, please. It's wild and scary, and obviously like blows up your whole life, but just remember, it's not your fault. It's literally not your fault. Okay. Not only are the victims, the children in these cases, victims of these people, but their spouses, their wives, their family as well. The people who are affected by these actions indirectly, so to speak, they are also victims of these people. And we should all grab our pitchforks and go hoot and holler around a active volcano and toss them on in. That's the only solution. I've heard that's the only solution. However, I appreciate you watching, commenting, all of that. Like I said, I will have Alyssa's GoFundMe linked below too. That'll be on top of, it'll be like one of the first ones that we have. And then it's also linked in her Instagram though too, if you want to go there. And did you know that if you are subscribed, that means that your butt looks good? You got a nice tush if you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you do not. It is concave, has a lot of acne on it, and you might get hemorrhoids. And not the internal kind. I'm talking about the external kind that kind of looks like a tiny ball sack. The kind that you gotta like sit on one butt cheek. Yeah. You can't just push that back in, babe. You gotta do something about it, okay? It's tough. It's tough. My fellow feral moms out there know it's the worst. It is. But if you subscribe, it's like free preparation H. It makes them all go away. It makes it so that your butt is plump, juicy, beautiful, dare I say, hemorrhoid free. God forbid I give you a free medical remedy, right? Not the cure-all. But again, that's only if you're subscribed to my channel. And if you're not, you're dead to me. However, I hope you have a great day, night, weekend, whenever you're watching this. And please be sure to stay assertive, stay spicy, stay feral, maybe a little bit delusional, and call out all the predators and do not support them. Okay, goodbye.